And so I just want to talk briefly for a few minutes about the topic of doubt. Because doubt is something that all of us experience at some point or another. Maybe it's a frequent thing for you, maybe it's not so often, but everybody goes through periods of time where they deal with doubt. Sometimes it's doubting the path that you're on. Is this really what I need to be doing? Is this the job that I should be at? Is this the area I should live? Is this the direction I should be going? Is this how I should be serving God? We ask ourselves questions like that. Sometimes we doubt ourselves. I don't know if I can do this or not. I don't know if I can be the one to manage this thing or to be in charge of this, or I don't know if I can make this happen, right? We doubt ourselves. We deal with doubt a lot. And so for just a few moments tonight, I want to look at a few other people in the Bible who doubted. What they doubted and how they dealt with that. So we'll go way back and we'll start with Moses. We think of Moses as this looming patriarch, this larger-than-life figure. Israel certainly viewed him this way. He was a very important figure in their history, and he did so much in leading a nation. But we see back in Exodus that he had doubts. He says, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt?" He's being asked to defy the ruler that had enslaved them for 400 years. He's being asked to lead a nation out of another nation. Who am I that I can do that? As we read further into that story, after God had picked Moses, Moses says later, "What if they will not believe me or listen to what I have to say?" Can you imagine going before a ruler and saying, "The God of all creation chose me to talk to you"? Who's going to believe that, right? I'm just some guy. Why would they believe that at all? Why would they think that I'm not crazy? Later, he has even more things. He says, "But I am slow of speech and slow of tongue." In other words, I'm not a good public speaker. I'm not eloquent. How am I going to convince someone to listen to me? Moses had many doubts. He had doubts about God's plan. Am I really the one that you want for this? Because he doubted his own capabilities. He doubted that people would listen to a man like him. He doubted that he could speak and fulfill these things. But notice what God told Moses. God basically says that he made Moses. So of course he knows what Moses is capable of. He knows what Moses can do better than what he did. And that he would be with him. He even says specifically, "I will be with your mouth. I will be with your tongue. I will help you to say what you need to say." In the same way, we can apply that to ourselves today. When there's something that we don't feel that we can do, but we know it's something in the Bible that God would want us to do, we can think about the fact that God made us. God knows what we're capable of, and he can help us. He's there with us, and he can help us do things that perhaps we never thought we would be able to do. Let's look at another one. Let's look at Esther. If you recall the story of Esther, Mordecai wanted Esther to plead to the king for favor for the Jews. The Jews were in danger because of a plot. They were in danger of being wiped out. But Esther was positioned in a royal place. She could get the ear of the king and perhaps intercede and help out the Jews. But Esther had doubts. You see, coming before the king without a summons was grounds for execution. So she had doubts. Is that really what I want to do here? I've attained royalty now, right? Is that really maybe the best thing for me to do? And I like what Mordecai says in Esther chapter 4 at the end of verse 14. He says, "And who knows whether you have not attained royalty for such a time as this?" You know, maybe the position in your life is threatened because of following the gospel, of following the Bible, of doing what God would have you to do. That might threaten your job. It could threaten your status. It could threaten your reputation within the community. It could threaten things like that. But as Mordecai says, maybe you're in that position for a reason. And maybe that's actually to serve God's purpose. Esther doubted that her position in life was meant to help this. And so Mordecai kind of helps set her straight there. Let's look at one last one here tonight. Peter in the New Testament. Jesus walked out on the water. It's a very well-known story, and they look out from the boat and they see him. First they think he's a ghost, right? And so Jesus walks up and calms them. And then Peter gets out. He gets on the water. But as he is standing on the water, he looks around and he sees the wind and he becomes frightened. And when he begins to sink, he cries out and says, "Lord, save me." It's easy to understand Peter's position. It can be scary listening to the wind when you're comfortable inside your own home. When it gets really going, the weather outside can be very frightening. Imagine what it's like when you're standing on nothing but water in the middle of the ocean. And so, as he doubts this place that he's been placed on, that he's been called out to by Jesus, as he doubts this, he begins to sink and yells, "Lord, save me." And of course, Jesus says back to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" He asks him that. Jesus was right there in front of him. Imagine the confidence that would give to you or to me to have Jesus tell you to do something when he's right there and all you have to do is obey it. You would think that would make you feel like a superhero, that you could do anything. And yet we see that even in that position, we can still feel doubt. Jesus says, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" So the final one, maybe that we should talk about tonight, is us, or you. You of little faith, why do you doubt? What are the things that make you doubt in life, and why? Why do you doubt things? Remember that God has made you. God knows what you're capable of better than you do. God is able to help you do things that maybe you never thought possible. God is with you wherever you find yourself in life, whether you're at a very low position or a very high position. God is with you. God knows where you are in life. And God is still extending a hand to you today. And so perhaps you found yourself in a position where you do need saving, where you cry out to God, "Lord, save me. Save me from whatever this situation is that I've found myself in. Save me from my fears. Save me from my doubts." God can do that. We, unfortunately, all are of little faith, but hopefully we can together edify and exhort one another so that we can have just a little bit more faith together. And so I'd encourage you tonight, if there is a doubt or a fear that is getting in the way of your faith, that you would share that with everyone so that we can pray for you, that we can help you. Or if there's anything else that's getting in the way of your relationship with God, we encourage you to make it known and to work together with us so that we can all ultimately look forward to being together in unity in New Jerusalem. If there's anything that you have need of, why don't you come forward and make it known while we stand and while we sing.